Houses will crash 20% by September. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee because, well, it's another day, so we have another article in the media about house prices crashing in Australia. This time, a prediction of, well, by 20% by September. Now, before we jump and have a look at this article, let's just jump over to my other screen here where I've got the Google Trends. Now, what we can see is this is house price crash in Australia over the past 12 months, and it's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So no big dramatic increase. Maybe here, you reckon, in November. But yeah, I think it's just to do with the media reporting on stuff. If we zoom down here, we can see New South Wales is where all the interest is. I guess no one else cares in Australia. I don't blame them. Let's look at the past 5 years to see if there's anything interesting here with this search term. And there you go. It seems pretty consistent, doesn't it? Up, down, up, down. So there's been, can we go any further out? 2004 to present. Let's just go nuts. There you go. Okay, so here we go. In 2004, there's a whole bunch of house price crashes. Then we jumped up a bit. Where's 2007, 2008? So there we had a whole lot of house price crash, house price crash, house price crash. Then it got a bit quiet, went up again. They improved their geographical assessment. Okay, was applied here, and it flattened out, less interest. Their data collection was improved, and here, and they improved their data collection again. So we're not as exciting as the beginning of the 2000s or around the GFC, and it's kind of flattened out then. But New South Wales is still leading the pack, guys. These poor Welshmen, you know. So let's have a look at this article here. So Australian house prices to plunge by 20% by September, an expert warns. Okay, 20%. So Aussie homeowners should be bracing for a September bloodbath on the housing market, an expert has warned. Shane Oliver, chief economist at AMP, has predicted that property prices will bottom out in September this year. Come September, national house prices will have fallen 20% below their peak April 2022 level. Okay? Below their peak level in April 2022. Now, this is important. This is important because we're talking about a crash. Oh, it's coming down. And you see, people are here. There's an interest in house price crashes here in Australia. People have been predicting it for years, that it's all inevitable. It's going to come down. It can't last forever. It doesn't have to last forever. It just has to last our lifetimes, sadly. And coming off a red-hot peak, is that the crash everyone's been hoping for? Is that going to mean property is suddenly more affordable to you? If you've been waiting for 5 years, you've been waiting for a decade? So, that's the thing. When people are trying to time the market, you're trying to catch a falling knife. And it's always something that's very difficult to do. It's hard to do in the stock market. It's hard to do in crypto. It's hard to do in housing. You've got to look at your situation and decide on your own personal financial situation if you can jump in. Look at all the sob stories of idiots bitching and moaning and blaming other people for their own stuff-ups and learn from it. That's it. That's all I'll say on it. That's the advice that you're going to get. That's the advice people should be given. Hey, and if you do stuff up, see if you can get paid from the ABC for being in one of their sob story articles. Help pay your mortgage that way. That's just getting a side gig. Shane Oliver, chief economist at AMP, has predicted that property prices will bottom out in September this year. Come September, national house prices will have fallen 20% below their peak April 2022. And not only that, it's likely that price plunges will re-accelerate in the lead up to the September quarter as cash-strapped mortgage holders take to distressed selling on the housing market. We haven't yet seen the full impact of interest rates on the housing market, he told news.com.au. Yes, and we'll look at that here. We've got the data here. Guys, we can see bad loans are very low at the moment. Okay, you've got non-performing loans are down 38%. Hang on. I got to jump there. Are down 38%, guys. You've got 30 to 90 or 89-day loans that are past due are 52% down from their peak as well. And total credit outstanding that's past due is only 0.35%. So we haven't seen the impact of these interest rate hikes, and for those of you playing at home, there it is. It hasn't filtered through yet. Now, is this going to lead to a whole lot of distressed sales? I think we'll see it manifesting in other, well, like the other article we looked at tonight. People taking little Jimmy out of private school, sending him to the dirty public school with the the working class people. How will he ever cope? That's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be making lifestyle changes. There's also a high risk of the housing bubble bursting in a bust scenario, although he did not point out this. He did point out this is not the most likely scenario. He explained that 3 factors will come to head and reach a critical mass, which will savage the real estate industry and make a 20% plunge pretty much inevitable. Yeah, I mean, it's a 20% plunge over an overheated increase. Remember, we went up 30%. How far back in time are we going? That's what I'm interested in. Now, okay, it's the fastest, an 8% fall. It's been the fastest in the last 40 years. Yeah, okay, but the last 40 years, that has been insane. We haven't had a recession in nearly 30 years. People only know good times. So, of course, it's gonna be big. And it just property went bullshit at COVID, guys. It went utterly insane. So, by September, a large chunk of Australians with mortgages will have to transition to a variable interest rate as their 3-year much lower fixed rate deals expire. Now, this is the thing. How many of these people are so stupid they didn't plan for it? And then think they're the same people that get to vote for more money stolen out of your wallet and other fantastic political initiatives. Mr. Oliver estimates this group will represent... I was actually going to suggest maybe you need to, have like a mortgage for a few years before you can vote, but then I realized that's going to be a complete... It pretty much is like that anyway, isn't it, here in Australia, guys? All the politicians and so many people have so many houses. Yeah, that's a terrible idea, Florian. Don't suggest that. He estimates this group will represent 30% of the total number of homeowners stuck paying off mortgages. Yes, but how many of this group are first home buyers that just got in, or established owners that took advantage of the insanely low rates? I haven't been able to find that data. That's what we need to find. Because if we're talking, okay, that's a whole bunch, 30% of them, which won't be, are all... I mean, how much is this? What are we talking? Has he got numbers here? He probably does. How much of this 30% is the proportion of all mortgages? And then how much of that is the proportion of people that FOMO'd in during the lockdown silly season and overextended themselves? We don't know how these people are going to handle their mortgage reset, he warned. Some would say you need to watch that as you suddenly see a critical mass of people's loans resetting, whereas the variable rate has been more gradual. This could cause many to try to sell their houses on quickly faced with paying off a much heftier loan. Interest rates, no, I don't know. Owner-occupiers, I don't think are going to sell quickly. You'll fight to keep your house, honestly. I think people will do what they can to stay in their house. They're not going to jump ship that easy. They'll go down. They'll be resilient and have a fight. They'll bitch and moan. I mean, we had another article, someone bitching and moaning about another mortgage interest rate increase sob story. And she for the first time in her life, she had to budget. Okay, she had to budget for the first time. That was the big stressful thing. I mean, come on. That shows you how good we've had it here, guys. How good we've had it here in Australia. Interest rates are likely going to keep rising this year, and there's also a chance an impending global recession could reach Australia, which won't impact well on the housing market. Rising mortgage rates are the main driver of the slump, and I'll switch to a highlighter, and there's likely more to go. Since April, a buyer on an average full-time earnings with a 20% deposit has seen a 20% decline in their home buying power, Mr. Oliver explained. We continue to expect a 15 to 20% top to bottom fall in home prices out through the September quarter as the full impact of rate hikes flows through and as economic conditions slow sharply this year, resulting in rising unemployment. Reflecting this, we see around another 9% fall in prices out to around September, with prices falling 7% over 2023 as a whole. Sydney will be worst hit, followed by Melbourne and Brisbane. Hobart and Canberra are in the same bracket. He said that Adelaide, Darwin and Perth won't be massively impacted because they haven't risen as far as the other capitals. Yeah, I mean, let's look at the SQM data here. Look at my city, guys, because the asking prices in Brisbane are just nuts. Okay, we'll reload that page there. Yeah, look. I mean, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's just bullshit. Okay, that's bullshit. Okay, you're not buying in Brisbane and I'm a property genius. Yeah, woo, yeah, bro. Buy my online course on Facebook. Yeah, nah. That's just bullshit, guys. That jump. Okay, so if it comes off that, it's only going to impact the people that bought in the last couple of years. They're the ones who are going to feel it. All the rest of us, unless you went and borrowed a shitload of money using the equity in your house, equity mate, what difference is it going to make? You may not feel like such a property genius, but still, it will impact people's discretionary spending. They won't feel as rich, so they won't go out and piss money away as easy. Homeowners in those capitals also don't have as large debts as the rest, making a housing value plunge less devastating for them than elsewhere. Risk of a bust. Oliver said that the 20% plunge is the most likely scenario, but warned a property crash was another possibility. The risk is there is a high risk. It's a high risk, but it's not the most likely scenario, he said. If the property bubble were to burst, house prices will lose 30% of their value. What, from peak to trough? So what do we go back to? 2019, 2018 prices? As it stands, average national house prices are down by 8% from their high and fell 5.3% in 2022. This would make the current decline the worst calendar year for house prices since 2008. Average capital city prices have fared worse and are now down by 8.6% and fell 6.9% last year, making them the worst calendar year on CoreLogic. Yep, we've had a look at that. It comes as an expert report released from the IMF found that Australia's real estate market was hurling towards correction that could burst the property bubble. The research found that Australia had one of the most misaligned housing markets in the world and is among the most unaffordable. This year, Australian house prices rose 50% above what the median household can afford, according to the report, as real wages declined because of inflation. Now the average family is spending 40% of what they make to keep a roof over their heads. So let's have a talk about this one, guys. Let's reiterate. Because I discussed that that report there. The Aussie housing bust from the IMF. It's made all the media, and we've gone through this. And we'll just go through some arguments I put against it, because we aren't seeing bad loans yet. If anything, it's gotten better since the peak. Okay? It's gotten better. So we have to keep an eye on that. We're not seeing many outstanding loans. They're opening the gates. Migration is returning. That increases demand. Okay? You've got the construction apocalypse that's going to dent our supply capacity to meet that demand. Okay? You've got government support, market intervention, and economic stimulus. So if we see a drastic correction in the market, this is the thing where these articles, remember when we had they're all going nuts over a potential 40% correction modeling by the RBA. Even I was. And, do you think that influenced our politicians' decision-making to stimulate the economy using housing? They're just putting it out there, just asking. And, you can see here how there's significant evidence of market intervention to prop up the market. Keeping zombies alive, oh yeah, that one. They're not in my backyard crowd. That's part of our culture. It's not going away. And, 50% of Aussies live in these locations, guys. Here. And all the good, really attractive, super smart ones live up here in the best part of the country. Right there, guys. Okay? Right there in these ones here. Yeah. Not biased at all. So, you've got to keep that in mind. So let's have a talk about that. So a huge 20% fall going from peak to trough when some markets are up 30%. Should we be worried? Should we be worried? I mean, here's the thing. If you're sitting there waiting to get into the market, are you going to be worried about it? Are you going to try and catch the falling knife? Or are you going to, particularly if it's a place to live, are you going to jump in? You've got to run the numbers. Get the Excel scenario, the worst case. If there's two of you working, what happens if one of you loses a job? Interest rates go up even higher. Can you meet the payments? What are you going to do? What are you going to sacrifice? That's what I'd be using to make my decision, not trying to catch and time the market, because that's bloody hard, and when people do it, it's mainly luck. And even if we see a fall of 20%, housing isn't going to be affordable. Or the crash that he talked about, the 30% crash, it's still not going to be affordable to the average person. The problem is we've got issues from a state, you've got issues from the federal government. All they do is they just throw money at people. They just chuck money through grants, shared equity, all this bullshit, and just goes into these areas. Oh, we need to stimulate the economy. Quick, throw more money at it. Yep, they throw more money at it. That's all they do. That's all they can really do. Because you've got the councils and the state governments as well causing issues with housing, and the federal too. New builds are going to cost even more next year because legislation changes in the NCC, the National Construction Code, are going to drive up the costs. That adds to support for existing builds, established houses. So, should we be worried? We'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's going to be as exciting as people think. The media is going to report it like it's the end of the world. But you've got to have a calm head with this stuff and realize they have to play it up to get the attention. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this one. Thanks for watching. Check out my other channels, Heise BIM and Heise Does, where I discuss, the BIM tools I use and completely irrelevant things that I do. As always, if you want to support us, you can financially on YouTube or Patreon. Use our referral links, buy our pocket squares, or call us if you need an architect. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. And I'll see you in the next episode of HeiseSays. Bye for now.